Welcome to Place Brand Leaders, the podcast of the Place Brand Observer. In this shortcast episode, I will share with you insights from our panel of experts at the Place Brand Observer on how to measure place branding effectiveness and impact. So this was the last key to success which we identified in the last episode. I think it is so important that it really justifies a dedicated episode by itself. How to measure the effectiveness and impact of place branding initiatives is probably the $1 million question. And it's certainly one I have heard very often as editor of the Place Brand Observer. Those asking it are mostly professionals in charge of activities aimed at attracting visitors, investors, talent to a specific location, or making sure that those who live and work there enjoy a sense of community and shared identity. So in other words, place brand managers. But why do we need to measure the success of place branding in the first place? And the short answer is to be able to demonstrate causality. So measurement helps us to establish a link between place branding activities and actual changes and improvements, such as economic impact in the form of increased visitor spending, export growth, next investment, or resident. Because place branding, unlike place marketing, tends to be concerned with the overall perception or attractiveness of a place, and there are likely to be many factors influencing it, often beyond direct control or influence of the organization in charge of place branding. So it's quite easy to succumb to the complexity of place branding and to declare precise measuring of its effectiveness impossible. But from the Place Brand Observer panel, I know that successful measurement and benchmarking is possible if communities and locations keep in mind a few recommendations. And the first one would be clear about what to measure by setting KPIs. When I ask the experts how to measure effectiveness or impact, there are those who favor quantitative, so mostly economic indicators, whereas others consider qualitative data around feelings and perceptions more useful and meaningful. And often a combination of both will produce the best insights, I think. And the thing is that purely quantitative statistical facts do not tell us much about exactly why perceptions towards a city or region have changed, for instance. But they might still be useful for comparing the overall performance of those places with others, so benchmarking, or to get an idea about how it has changed over time. Essentially, if generating economic impact in a specific sector or industry is what your place branding project is about, then there's no way around taking a look at the respective indicators, such as bed nights, student numbers, or investment inflow. And you still will not know why there has been an increase or otherwise, or to what extent your efforts have impacted it. But if positive, it might be enough to convince politicians or other key stakeholders of the usefulness of your place branding work. If, on the other hand, your city or country branding work is aimed at changing perceptions, then you'll be better advised to use qualitative research. And the same applies if you want to understand how and why your marketing or branding activities are contributing to a stronger community or economy. So, in other words, you need to be clear about what it is that you have to measure. And in theory, measuring the effectiveness of place branding is not difficult, so long as you have set clear and measurable objectives at the outset. The initial purpose of intended outcome of place branding initiatives can vary considerably, and that ranges from attracting foreign direct investment, to increasing student or visitor numbers, to soft power gains, or even strengthening a sense of community among the local population, in addition to increased name recognition through social media buzz and news coverage. So the list of desired deliverables from place branding is quite long. Lack of clear KPIs is therefore not just a key barrier to success, it also makes impact measurement exceedingly difficult. How to measure place branding effectiveness and impact? That's the question of this shortcast episode. And another point mentioned by the panel of experts is to take your time for determining branding effectiveness and impact. According to them, allowing for sufficient time to find out about place branding effectiveness is crucial because changing and improving both the experience and the image of a place is a long-term effort. In place branding, you want to be able to understand how and why specific programs or initiatives have led to consumer satisfaction or enhanced reputation, for instance. As Jeanette Hanna of Trajectory in Canada puts it, the trajectory is as important as a snapshot in time. Is the momentum trending toward positive or negative sentiments? Who are the influencers? What's emerging? And this is especially the case when a place branding exercise is linked to reputational change. Another key recommendation for measuring place branding success is to use rankings for benchmarking. There are quite a lot of rankings available, some generic on place performance and reputations, and others more specific about specific industry sectors. On the website placebrandobserver.com, we have a lot of country and city profiles. Those essentially are summaries of what international rankings and indices say about a specific country or region, and I invite you to have a look. Another key recommendation is to monitor changes in perception and emotions towards your place. Rankings showing performance according to economic indicators are mostly reflecting the supply side of a place, which is easier to measure. But it's trickier to determine whether and how your place branding activities have actually changed the perceptions of your target audiences and how they may have made them feel about your city, region, country, or destination. And Malcolm Allen of Bloom Consulting makes a valid point, suggesting that the strength of emotion that a person experiences when hearing or seeing your place's name is the ultimate measure of a place brand's success. And target audiences in place branding are often both internal, so residents, and external, so potential visitors, citizens, talent, and investors. And judging by our panel's thoughts on the topic, you can use essentially two methods for determining people's awareness of a place and its attributes, as well as their opinions and feelings about it. So the first would be periodic surveys, through which you prompt audiences to share their views, or analysis of media discourse and social media chatter. The last recommendation offered by the panel on how to measure place branding success is to determine internal buy-in. So a place brand is doomed to fail if it is not supported by those who make the place what it is. And that's your internal audience, the citizens and domestic stakeholder groups. And that's why our panel considers internal buy-in to be another really a good way of determining place branding effectiveness. Is there community recognition? Are the citizens engaged? How many people participate in workshops or surveys? How many take up your brand proposition and carry those key messages forward? Do they live the brand promise in their everyday business and interactions with clients and visitors? So measure participation in projects you launch to bring your brand to life, or how successful your brand partners are in reaching their objectives, such as attracting a skilled workforce or investors. In other words, does your place branding program help resident businesses or individuals to thrive? In sum, measuring the effectiveness of place branding can be tricky due to its complexity, the many stakeholders involved, and the difficulty to prove the causality between your activities and changes in performance. Politicians and other key stakeholders need to understand the need for qualitative research to complement quantitative metrics, such as bed nights or student numbers or investment inflow. Impact measurement research can be expensive and is often not included in the initial budget or only insufficiently. And the recommendations shared in the book, and which I share with you now in this shortcast, will hopefully help you to master those hurdles and make your place branding endeavor a success.